Woman threatens to have supermarket employee fired, regrets it massively. Sally can feel anger boil inside her like tea in a pot. How could a customer be so rude? In all the years Sally worked here at the bakery, she had never experienced such an intolerable customer. But this was her job. She couldn't exactly argue back and storm off. She had bills to pay, mouths to feed. She looks at the woman and could see she was loving every minute of this. "I could have your job for this," the woman spat out, her words like bullets, shooting straight at Sally. But enough was enough. Sally knew she had to make this woman pay. It was time for revenge. For Sally Smith, working in her local bakery was not a dream job. Far from it. She had been working there for 2 years, and with every dollar she earned, she put towards her dream of moving to law. She knew she was destined for more than just slicing bread and baking cakes. But then one busy Saturday morning, everything changed for Sally. And her whole world turned upside down. Sally arrived at the bakery one busy Saturday morning. She started her shift by doing a quick inventory count, but when Sally came to the individual rolls, she noticed a woman looking at the rolls too. Sally didn't pay her much attention. But that was until she saw what the woman did next. Sally watched as the woman picked up a crusty roll from the basket, gave it a squeeze, and poked her thumb straight through the crust. But instead of keeping the roll she just manhandled, she threw it back into the basket. Then, she did it again with another roll. Sally watched in horror, and when the woman reached in to try a third one, Sally knew she had to say something. "Excuse me, would you mind using the tongs provided please?" asked Sally, in a friendly tone. But the woman ignored her and instead grabbed a third roll and broke the crust. Sally wasn't having this. A little louder she said, "Miss, please use the tongs provided." The woman heard her that time, and her eyes glared at Sally. "I bet your pardon?" the woman asked, and a terrible feeling hit the out of Sally's stomach. What was her problem? Sally again requested the woman not to grab the tolls and use the tongs in the basket. But the woman yelled out in response. "Are you saying my hands are dirty?" Sally could see anger boil within the woman's body. "Are you saying that I'm filthy?" she screamed out. Well, as Sally knew all too well that customers never really washed their hands before using the bakery's baskets and trolleys, she replied, "Yes. Yes, they are, just please use the tongs." And then the inevitable happened. The woman instantly demanded to speak to Sally's manager. "You should learn to respect your elders," she yelled out. "I'll have your job for this." Sally called the bakery manager to come down, and when he arrived, straight away the woman broke out in crocodile tears, claiming she was testing the rolls for freshness and Sally was incredibly rude to her, telling her how her hands were filthy. She finished by saying how she had never been so insulted in her life. Sally couldn't believe it. She knew the old woman was playing games, but surely her manager wouldn't believe her, right? In a loud and stern voice, Sally's manager turned to Sally and asked, "Did you say this to her, Sally?" As soon as the words left his lips, doubt and paranoia crept over Sally. She started second-guessing herself. "Did I do something wrong?" she thought to herself. She replied to her manager admitting she did say that, but only because the woman ignored her after asking her to use the tongs. Was this the end for Sally? Was she about to get fired? Time was running out. "Okay Sally," her manager said, before turning to the woman. "I'll be back shortly miss, I just need to get some things." As the manager left, the woman turned to Sally and said in a patronizing and condescending tone, "Ha! See what happens when you don't know your place." Her manager soon reappeared and he made his way over to Sally and the woman. Sally had no idea what was going to happen next. But she knew it wasn't going to be good. Her manager arrived and did a quick count of the rolls. He muttered, 234, loudly before retreating into the back. All while her manager was doing this, the woman had a smirk plastered on her face. Sally's manager reappeared holding a gigantic-sized black bin liner. He then emptied 8 large baskets of rolls into the bin liner and a label for 224 individual wheat rolls, tied the bag up, and handed it to the woman. "Here you are miss, they're all yours," he said with a friendly smile. Both Sally and the woman looked confused. What was going on? The woman asked what the bag for was, and the manager replied, "The rolls miss, they're all yours." The woman looked even more confused, but Sally smiled to herself as she realized where her manager was going with this. "You admitted to contaminating our stock, you ignored a member of staff, even though she asked you repeatedly to use the tongs. You've wasted a ton of my time, and you will be paying for the stock you've damaged. Have a good day." The woman's mouth dropped to the floor in shock. "What on earth am I supposed to do with all these rolls?" she asked. "I only wanted 2. With his white teeth glistening in the light, Sally's manager whispered, "Not my problem miss. I'll get security to escort you to the tills and make sure they're paid for." He then swiftly turned on his heels and headed into the back. leaving the confused and angry woman with her 224 rolls. The woman turned to look at Sally, so Sally made sure she could see her smile. She made sure she could see the delight Sally was reveling in. But Sally didn't say anything. She left the shop floor, grabbed a cake, and headed into the back to slice the cake up. All while laughing her head off. Revenge tasted just as sweet as this cake.